Hey guys, welcome back to the What About AI podcast. I'm Sean Boyce,
I'm James Perkins.
and the topic that we've got picked out for you here today is all about fake job postings, better known as ghost jobs. And I've got some really unfortunate statistics that we're going to start off with here, and then James, I'm going to flip it to you. So, some really shocking numbers. I feel like we should put a trigger warning in front of these. These are devastating. 4 out of 10 companies posted fake job listings in 2024. 3 in 10 are currently advertising for roles that aren't real. Ridiculous. Over 80%, 81% of recruiters admit their employers post ghost jobs. Crazy. Tons of postings on Greenhouse alone are fake. And the job openings have outnumbered actual hires in the millions, 2.2 million per month since early 2024. Those are some wild numbers, man. I don't know. You go first.
Should we just end it here and call it a
I
day?
promise you this conversation will get better. I know it's starting in a bad spot, but it will get better.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. So the AI and robotics revolution has been picking up steam in the past year or two, but it's been discussed in corporate circles for the past
Forever.
10 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And and, and I know there were plans being done. Like every year, senior leadership of a company gets together and starts planning what they're going to do for the next year. And AI has been a topic of conversation and explicitly displacement of some internal resources, whether it was layoffs or moving them within the company, year over year for the past 5 or 6.
Easily.
So this is not new that companies do this, but it is horrific to see those numbers at
It's
that
so bad.
scale.
Agreed.
I mean that's a little shocking to me.
Would you like me to share worse numbers?
Sure, go ahead, go
Okay, I
ahead.
promise you this is going to get worse, but only for this part. Beyond that,
Whenever I need to pick me up, I go to
things are
Sean.
going to get better. I have good numbers as well too, but these numbers are worse because I'm sure one of the burning questions about all those statistics, because we've all heard about this, it's crazy to see those numbers
Yeah,
at the level that they're at for this kind
agreed.
of practice. This is unacceptable. But one of the questions you might have, I certainly do, is why are they doing this? Like, what are the reasons behind this? And only one of these was one that I was aware of. The other ones are worse. So warning there too. But 63% post fake jobs to make overworked employees think help is coming. That's the most hopeless one. That one's awful. 62% post fake jobs to make workers feel quote unquote replaceable, which is essentially a form of psychological manipulation.
Psychological abuse.
Awful, dude. It's like totally unacceptable.
Uh,
67% want to create an illusion of growth. That's the one I've heard before. That one is even maybe a little bit somewhat logical. You're clearly bending rules or breaking them there for like investors and
yeah,
clients
I
and
guess
things
sense.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to sell a narrative. So like I understand that, but it's still devastating for applicants. 60% are resume harvesting, so collecting data with no intent to hire. Very bad. 77% of recruiters say ghost jobs have a positive impact on revenue. Not sure you've got the right target metric in mind there, because that's pretty
Well, the
devastating
sad
for
part
people.
is they're
So
measuring it.
clearly and very specifically, because it was 77%,
Like,
so that's very precise. So okay, I'm done with awful metrics for the most part for this episode. Up to you.
well, yeah. So a couple things. One, we have a client, Paul, say your name, um, who had been applying to jobs for 8 months. I don't know if you remember all this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Getting no results. And when he came to us, I was like, "Well, show me what you applied for, so I have like a look at what you've been doing." And I could tell that a lot of the job postings met these what you're reading
Yeah, they
here, these
met this
metrics.
pattern for
Yeah.
sure.
So we have the skill set to be able to identify those types of postings.
Yep.
A good way to do some error checking against a job posting is look up the business. If it's a publicly traded company, their numbers are public, and you can tell right away whether they're actually in a growth pattern or they're having some struggles. Um, Look at LinkedIn and look at the other folks in those roles at the company. And I mean, there's like 10 or 11 different things I advised Paul to go do. He did them, and he's like, wow, almost all the jobs I was applying to seemed like they were ghost jobs, that they weren't actually real. And a lot of them were still open. So he applied some jobs 8 months ago, and they were still open when he
Still
came to
there.
us.
Yeah.
So I think what I would do if you're actively applying right now is pay attention to everything around the job application. If the hiring managers list it, go check them out. Look at the language of the posting to see how real and urgent it is. If a
Hmm.
company really needs someone to fill that role fast, usually they'll have some specifics in the job description that kind of hint that they're looking for someone to fill these specific functions right away. It's not often generic in those scenarios. And if they have many listings for the same job type, that's another kind of red flag,
Yep.
dead giveaway that it's probably not real.
Yeah, those are all good patterns. And I think we'll link to a guide that we have on this topic as well too for you guys. So gain access to that. It's free. In there, going to kind of summarize all these key points so that when you're shopping around for your next job or you're applying to what do you think is a real job, you can use all these strategies to kind of iron out what you think might be or may not be based on the patterns we've identified because we've done a lot of this analysis. And finally, for a little bit of good news here, I
All
do
right, give
that
it to
too.
me.
So hope is on the way to a certain extent. Now, I know we don't expect a lot to change from a legislation perspective, especially quickly, but it is underway in different places, both in our country and others. So in Ontario, Canada, they're working on laws that are expected to take effect this month. So January 2026, requiring disclosure, basically looking for more context from these companies about these postings, right? To ensure the idea behind it is to ensure that they're valid, right? California has passed a law requiring employers to disclose if posting is for actual vacancy. Feels like that should have been a requirement all along, but this is the way that they're kind of holding their feet to their fire there. Kentucky has introduced a bill to outright ban ghost jobs entirely, which I think is also great. And there's a change.org petition as well too. Maybe we can track that down. It's already got 50,000 signatures and include that as well too. Maybe we can all help kind of shift the tide here a little bit. So to
I
look, I
like
mean,
that.
clearly, if governments are getting involved in this, it's a well-known problem. And unfortunately, because it has continued to get worse and worse, those statistics I read earlier are ones that even I hadn't heard of first, but I was aware of this pattern, but it's clearly gotten worse. So once legislation comes around, we're expecting hopefully that will have some effect and these practices can end.
Well, I think honestly, I think it's going to end sooner rather than later at the company's own discretion because they're going to be doing such massive layoffs that they aren't going to worry about showing on paper that they're hiring.
Yeah, another threat.
So I think right now you're seeing a bunch of ghost jobs that they're postings, but there's nothing behind them. That's probably going to get better over time, but not for the right reasons.
Right, yeah, temporary, but other risks to be aware of as well.
Yeah, I'm not jealous of anyone navigating this job market. Um, I mean, we've seen
It's terrible.
firsthand. I would say about half of the clients that come to us
That's fair.
are laid off, were recently laid off, or are unemployed for some reason or another, and cannot find a job. And our primary mission is help them get work as soon as possible.
As fast as
And
possible.
it's working, but to stay employed, even the folks that come to us that currently have roles, we're teaching them almost the same skills, which is you
Yep.
have to know how to use AI in the job that you're in or seeking. So pay attention. I mean, do research, follow our podcast, read our blog,
Yep.
check out our website. We have a newsletter, but don't let yourself fall behind of all the tools that are available right now.
Agreed. Yeah, no, good advice as well. A couple things that, well, just to kind of summarize to protect yourself related to this topic for this episode in terms of identifying those ghost jobs. A couple of quick ones here, and again, we'll link to the guide so you guys can have the comprehensive version of it as well too. But we talked about how old the posting was.
Yep.
That's a flag. For the most part, we kind of advise if the posting's older than a month, that is probably a higher risk that that is either for whatever reason, probably
Eight
not
months and
worth applying
counting.
to.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. We've got some unfortunate records there, but that's one flag. Another one is to cross-reference it with their official careers page. So a lot of folks, our clients, are finding jobs on, Career or Indeed or whatever, a bunch of different job boards, and companies leverage those. They do leverage those to actually hire people. At least I think that's the case. But cross-reference that with what's on their actual careers page, because if you see it on a job board but it's not on their actual careers page, I might take that a little more seriously, or at least you're identifying that mismatch. Also, the vague descriptions, you called that out as well too. If there's not a lot of great detail there and it's particularly vague, it sounds like it's almost ambiguous enough to apply to anything. That I think is a bit of a flag. Sometimes I'm sure they're probably doing that so that they can, if they ultimately get called out for it, they can use some excuse about it being, kind of a
Absorbed
mistake
by
or
the
whatever.
org or
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Something else because it wasn't really specific enough. So that's a flag. Um, check reviews online. I think you mentioned that one as well too. Glassdoor and others. Look for any context that's coming from your fellow colleagues, like those of us out there that are also shopping for positions. Like, what are they saying? A lot of the times, they're providing context related to the experience they had. There's a bunch of apps that I know we could talk about as well too for that can help folks in this process as well. Also, where you can get some kind of like more recent feedback about not just the hiring process as people that are going through it, but how has the company treated the prospect, like the actual candidate who is considering applying for that job?
Yeah,
What was their response like? Did they ever reach out or get back to them? Did they have any communication whatsoever? How professional was that? All of those are good leading indicators as well too, in terms of whether or not this company basically is worth your time.
agreed.
Cool. So I think we did a pretty good job on this topic. I know it started dark, but I think we brought it around a little bit as well too. You guys will let us know in the comments, of course, too. We appreciate that. We do. Anything else you want to add for this episode before we wrap up?
Well, we mentioned some of the tips and the resources we'll make available. We have a ton of free resources. If you are currently laid off and you need help, go to the site, whataboutai.com. There's a ton there. If you want to do the paid resources, we offer coaching. We're trying to help everyone get through
Yeah.
this. So we know how bad it is. We're seeing it firsthand. If you need help, we're here to help.
Yeah, and our newsletter comes right from our inboxes as well too. So if you guys sign up for that, if you get one, just reply to that with questions and stuff like that, and we'll address as many of them as we possibly can because we do want to
Yeah,
help you as
Sean's got
much
on
as
my
we can.
case. I'm ridiculously responsive. If you send a message, you're going to get a reply,
You will.
probably same day.
Absolutely. So take full advantage, guys. And thanks for tuning into this episode.
Thanks all.